you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description.
Welcome to Mindshock True Crime. This is the Maura Murray series, episode 21, Shadows of West Point. This is your host, Bruce McGuire.
And Maxwell Powers.
And Johnny Mills. So we've recently been digging into UMass and the strange everything that is UMass. People involved, circumstances. Did Maura even leave Amherst? But let's take it another step back. Let's look at the West Point connections. Maxwell, who is extremely well versed in this case, definitely knows who Bob McDonald is. McDonald's?
I gotta look that up.
Did you know that Maura went to West Point before Amherst?
Yeah.
UMass Amherst?
Oh, so
You did know that?
He's a Bob McDonald dude. He's a Bob McDonald dude. Like, I don't know.
Did you know Maura went to West Point?
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
But from the podcast, I listened to it. Wait, she got kicked out. No, she didn't get kicked out. You clarified that. You said she left voluntarily because she wasn't. I don't know. Isn't that what you said?
Well, I don't know. We don't know.
Oh, okay.
She was supposedly she was asked to leave so she wouldn't be kicked out. So she kind of left in order to not be officially kicked out. I think that was the official story. Johnny probably knows.
What?
All right. So this is a blog post from James Renner. You know who James Renner is, Maxwell?
Of course.
Wait, how old is this?
This is February 2nd, 2012.
Okay.
Code of silence at West Point. A few weeks ago, a reader passed along to me a list of cadets who went to West Point with Maura and her sister Julie. For the last few days, I've sent emails to these people, some who knew Maura well. Dozens of emails. Not a single person has responded. Apparently, protection of an institution trumps sharing information that could be helpful to understanding what led Maura Murray to that road in New Hampshire in 2004. The United States Military Academy is no stranger to obfuscation and secrecy, though. They've often protected their own, and even today, female cadets often find themselves in perilous situations. So, that's kind of interesting, right? Nobody from West Point that knew Maura was willing to speak to him? That he reached out to by email. So he said, yeah, there was a list of cadets and none of them responded. Dozens of emails. Nobody wants to talk about Maura at West Point. Nobody wants to talk about Maura at UMass. What's going on? It seems like her high school friends are the only ones that were willing to talk.
But is that a common?
And not even all of them, half of them. What?
Is that a common pattern though with any case? I mean, I don't know. Is it like? I mean, if there was another missing person case.
Oh no! Usually, most people talk about them. Yeah, like go. Haven't you seen any true crime documentaries or missing persons documentaries?
No.
It's a good thing you're doing a true crime podcast, Maxwell.
Oh, maybe I have, but I didn't notice whether they were open or if it ever was a problem. So I just
Johnny,
never
you
really
ever seen
thought
any
of
true crime documentaries? When there's a missing person, do people that knew the missing person, friends, roommates, do they talk about them?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Most of the time. The only thing I would say is if, like, sometimes if they might be involved in some other drug activity or they're in prison or there's some kind of weird, shady situation. But normally, most of the time, friends, roommates, coworkers, they don't have any problem. Why would they have a problem talking? They want to help out. So,
and it's not just West Point. It's the school too. So that makes it. Because I was about to say maybe it's like a university-wide policy not to talk to media.
Well, to clarify, and I've clarified this, I think, a number of times in the last few podcasts, but I'll do it again. Kate actually did respond to James Renner's emails initially. There were a number, and then apparently either Fred told her not to talk to him anymore, or James Renner said something to piss her off. We don't really know. But she.
Oh yeah, then she. Was
now,
she
whereas
the one that,
Sarah,
she was the
I
one
don't
that
think,
freaked out, right? Like at
and
the
I
door
think Sarah was the one that didn't really want to talk, and she's the one.
Oh, she's the one that freaked out. Or
What?
supposedly, like at the door, like get out
Yeah,
of here. That
yeah,
one, right?
Sarah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Maxwell remembered something.
Ah.
It took me a second to remember who he's talking about. Maxwell's a new host. So she worked with Sarah. Technically, Sarah might have been, was one of the last people that saw Maura, because if they worked at the art gallery on Sunday, like Sarah said, and I think those hours might have been 2 to 5 or something like that, and that's when she got her phone back that she didn't have on Saturday. What's so funny?
I completely forgot or didn't know that she worked on Sunday.
That Maura worked on Sunday,
Yeah.
or Sarah?
That Maura worked on Sunday with Sarah.
Well, I don't think that's been 100% corroborated, so we don't know when she got her phone
okay.
back, but Sarah said that she spoke to her after the Saturday accident. So it seems that Sarah's saying they did work together on Sunday at the campus art gallery.
She
lot
had
of-
she had a lot of jobs.
Yeah, but
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be easy to corroborate from just from the art gallery?
I guess. Nobody's done it, though.
So
Are you new to this case, Maxwell?
we should
Nothing
we
is
should do that.
corroborated.
We should do that.
Maxwell
I don't know
Powers
how
on
important.
the case.
I don't know how important that is, though. Like,
I
you
would
think it's
say
important?
it's extremely... Well, we don't know how important... It could be extremely important or not. We don't know. So...
So we should
In
figure
any-
it out.
in any
Someone
case-
find out.
In any case, so some of the friends did talk to Renner, and then on the Oxygen show, some of her high school friends were willing to talk. And even on the initial, the disappeared episode, there were 2 friends who were talking a lot. So it's not that nobody would talk, it's just few and far between. Very, very strange. So then, of course, there's the theory that the sexual harassment scandal, the military sexual harassment scandal that kind of became news that Monday when Maura disappeared, kind of a coincidence. Billy is on the phone with West Point professors and a whole bunch of other people from that area, people who knew Maura, during his phone frenzy in the day before she went missing. That includes, of course, McDonald, the West Point professor. So what is going on at West Point? Some people theorize that it might have had something to do with Julie and not Kathleen. So when she had her emotional breakdown, she said, my sister. Could it have something to do with West Point and her sister Julie, who graduated from West Point? If she had received that tip-off Thursday night is when this all got rolling. Here is an article, Rumsfeld Orders Review of Sexual Assaults. This is written by Barbara Starr, CNN Washington Bureau. Friday, February 6th, 2004. Posted 10:08 p.m. U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld ordered a review into allegations of sexual assaults on soldiers in Iraq and Kuwait. U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld has ordered a 90-day review into allegations of sexual assaults against female soldiers in Iraq and Kuwait. In a memo signed Thursday, Rumsfeld noted concerns that some female soldiers have been reporting sexual misconduct but have been left in their units to serve with those accused of assaulting them. The Pentagon is expected to appoint an ombudsman to oversee the investigation. Rumsfeld order goes beyond previous Pentagon statements saying that sexual misconduct would not be tolerated. I am concerned about recent reports regarding allegations of sexual assaults on service members deployed in Iraq and Kuwait, Rumsfeld said in the memo. During 2003, the Army had 80 allegations of sexual misconduct among service members, the Air Force 7 allegations, the Marine Corps 1 allegation, and the Navy none, according to the Pentagon. Pentagon officials said all of these cases have been investigated. While some have been proven without foundation, others have led to disciplinary action. Of the 80 Army reports, investigations into 43 have been concluded and 33 of those have been determined to require further action, the Pentagon said. Rumsfeld memo was addressed to David Chu, Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness. I am directing that you review how the department handles treatment and care for victims of sexual assault, with particular attention to any special issues that may arise from the circumstances of a combat theater, the memo said. We are responsible for ensuring that the victims of sexual assault are properly treated, their medical and psychological needs are properly met, our policies and programs are effective, and we are prompt in dealing with all issues involved. Many people would laugh at that statement. In asking for findings and recommendations within 90 days, the defense chief also said the review should address the reporting of sexual assaults and the availability of private channels to report such issues within combat theaters. 37 military women who served in Kuwait and Iraq told of assaults by military colleagues in reports to a private group, the Connecticut-based Miles Foundation. The reports did not identify identify the woman, and it was unclear how many of those cases were also reported to the military. Some members of Congress said they were concerned about the problem and said they want a Pentagon investigation. So this just happened to come out within days of Maura going missing. However, the previous year and the following year, there were also, this was kind of a scandal news at West Point and the military in general coming out, and some of these weren't prosecuted or ruled on until many, many, many years later. Some just a couple years ago that mention this going back all the way to 2000 or around there. So, only natural to assume if some of these same people that were already convicted, they were at West Point in 2003 when Maura was there, 2002, 2001 when her sister was there, and Billy was there. So all these people are there. Is this another strange coincidence in the case, Maxwell?
Another strange coincidence.
Yes? Coincidence?
Yes.
Johnny?
Wait, so why did you bring that up?
The night of her breakdown, Rumsfeld was signing a memo or calling into investigation of assaults and all this stuff. Friday, this comes out, and then there's more stories on Monday when she goes missing. Did someone call her and tell her that Julie possibly was involved, or if she was assaulted or whatever? That would cause Maura to be upset, right? Or if Billy was involved as well, or maybe even McDonald and Billy, because she's going out with Billy, and the both of them have been at McDonald's house for dinners, and like McDonald and Billy were pretty close friends. So if either one of them was involved, I'm not even saying involved in something bad, or just if they were one of the whistleblowers, they could have been the good guys, we don't know. So, but regardless, if they were involved in some way that upset her, maybe it had something to do with Julie or not.
Okay.
So is it all a coincidence? Not enough information to tell?
I don't know, it's kind of random.
But why is it on that? Why is it around these couple days? And Monday also happens to be the morning.
Why not the week before? Why not
exactly.
the week after?
And also that Monday is the day when they announced that Patrick Vassy was in a coma and might not survive. You know who Patrick Vassy is,
Yeah.
Maxwell?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the coma dude.
So that happened that Monday, that it was announced to the university
Yeah.
that this had happened, and then she disappears. Another coincidence.
Yep.
How many coincidences are there? Again, like you said, it could have been the week before, it could have been the week after, but it was,
Yeah.
it was right then. What are we thinking?
I don't know. I need more information, I guess.
More information, more investigation?
What are other people's take on this? Wasn't it someone mentioned that it was never mind. That was different. I don't know what to think.
Wait, so, hold on. So, in Iraq and Kuwait, some soldiers were sexually assaulting other female soldiers?
Yes.
Or whatever, right?
Yes. In this instance, this
So
is
wait,
what it's talking about.
Maura Murray's sister was in the military?
She was at West Point. Yeah,
West
she's
Point.
Point.
But they're
Then
saying
she went
in
to
Iraq
work
and
for like a
Kuwait?
military. Yes, this specific thing that Rumsfeld was talking about was with soldiers in Kuwait and Iraq. But the people involved, even many years later, that were convicted, they were at West Point.
They were at
Yes.
West. Why? How do you know?
Well, their names are public. If you look up
Okay.
sexual
people
assault,
that
misconduct, West
did-
Point. So we don't need to talk about them. They have nothing to do. I mean, we don't know if they have anything to do with Maura Murray, but it seems like they don't.
But the people that were convicted in Iraq and Kuwait went to West
Oh,
Point.
we don't know that. I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh.
It's just the sexual assaults in the military before that point weren't big news. I'm sure that's been an issue for as long as there have been female soldiers, but it wasn't a big issue. Like, this is one of the biggest news stories at the time coming out about this.
And it so happened to be released while she
Yes.
was at work, and she was all sad
Yeah.
and whatnot.
That's when it was all hitting the fan.
So maybe somebody read the article or whatever and called her up. Is that what you're thinking?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
Or
coincidentally
knew
lining up.
something like, oh,
Is that one of the my sister responses?
Well, for example, let's say here's one of the crazy theories. Well, actually, let me get into that next. So, of course, yeah, Bill Rausch made a 34-minute call to Bob McDonald.
who's McDonald again?
He is the West Point professor
West Point.
who was
professor.
friends with Billy, and Billy and Maura had been over to his house for dinner. And
he-
also, coincidentally, the McDonald's showed up to interview the neighbors at Maura's alleged crash site in Haverhill, New Hampshire,
That dude
Wait,
went all the way up
interview.
with his wife. And they interviewed Butch. They interviewed the Westman
there. Why?
to try to find. I don't know.
Wait,
I mean, that's a good thing, or it could be.
Well, how
a
often
bad
does
thing.
that happen in case? We were talking about how often things happen. How often in cases
Does a
does a
professor-
history, does some professor that's friendly with the ex-boyfriend decide to do his own private investigation and interviews with neighbors?
So he actually did these interviews. Did anything
His wife.
interesting come out of it? Or?
Well, we read them on the podcast multiple times. Maxwell could probably remember some details. The details of a lot of these interviews conflict with the official newspaper stories and the official police reports.
And he did that when?
Don't you remember? We did a whole episode on this. We talked specifically
it
about
mixed
this. I don't remember. We're too many episodes in now. This is episode 21.
We should listen to that podcast on this podcast. Hour and a half.
Yeah, you should bring it up. Put a clip in. Yeah, let's hear what we said. So that's what makes it weird, right? Because the couple,
Everything is weird.
but so the couple went down to interview, but the ones who you would think would do the interviews didn't, like the friends,
Yeah.
right? Or I don't know.
The McDonald's showed up and started interviewing neighbors.
Okay.
Do you find that really weird?
Do you?
Not really, because they were friends, right?
Who was friends?
McDonald and Billy and Maura.
Well, I don't know how well he knew Maura.
Maybe Billy told him to do it.
Maybe. I mean, you don't think this is weird, but you think having a picture of a sticker asking questions in a parking lot of public university is weird.
Look. Well, what's weird is what's weird is how the ones that knew Maura didn't do any interviews.
And yeah, they didn't even go up and look for her.
Yeah, like
Or
that.
talk to-
That was kind of weird. But you were agreeing that shouldn't the people that
I think it's
knew
weird.
Maura
Okay, so Maxwell,
go-
let's say Johnny goes missing somewhere. Are you or you were friendly?
I'd be curious as
Hold
hell. I'd be
on.
driving up there like, yo, what's up?
I'm
What,
not
what
talking
happened?
about that.
Oh.
Let's say you guys both had a professor that you were kind of friends with, I guess. You don't think it's weird that professor and his wife would go and start interviewing neighbors on record where Johnny was last seen? That's
Like
kind of
miles
weird.
away,
They're not
too.
police officers. They're not even private investigators. If they were private investigators, okay.
I don't think
We're
so.
talking about-
That would be cool. Like I think.
So a professor and his wife. You
would
should ask them
collaborate.
how many times in their life they've done that.
What type of?
I would
professor is
collaborate.
it,
I would
you know?
collaborate with them. Like, yo, what's
think
what's going on?
history.
Like,
Not
what's
sure.
what did you find out? What was the interview like? Did you trust this guy? Did you trust you? Would you like to? Should I ask him what? You know? Should I ask him more questions or whatever?
Well, also Billy was in Iraq in 2004.
I think that would be kind of cool if like a professor, like one of your professors, like tried to look for you. That'd be cool.
That would be. Would I know that they actually were looking for me if I was never found? I don't know.
But I don't know.
Billy was in Iraq in
he was-
2004.
I thought he was in Oklahoma or something.
At the time Maura went missing, yeah, but later on he was in.
Oh, after she went
Yeah,
missing.
so that was February, but
Yeah, yeah.
later in the year he was in Iraq. He was deployed.
So he went back to doing some military stuff. He released Page 9. You saw that? Phone
Oh,
records.
the phone records, yeah. Page 9 of the phone records. That looks so easy to Photoshop in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but yeah,
Like,
did,
there's
did
no-
you, did you say it was like? Didn't you argue that it could have been, or it's a possibility that it could have been?
I'm not saying it was Photoshopped. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
like you
that's
said,
such
it
a
was a
basic,
possibility.
like yeah, easily.
And it was just a summary page, right?
Yeah.
It just had supposedly just summary.
But then
info,
also,
whatever.
it's strange. I still don't know if the full phone bill has been released because I think there's also pages 1 to 3. I'm not sure if all of them have been released, and where Maura's roaming calls are, and what took so long for it to be released. Even if that's a legitimate page, isn't it kind of weird that it took this long to be released? Like I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness with everything.
Now you think, now yourself think I'm weird for thinking it's not weird. Oh, I mean, think it's weird.
You think weird things aren't weird, and not weird things are weird. Like Alden Olson and his picture of the sticker.
You know, Alden Olson's really smart. I actually skimmed some of his blog, and he's really coherent. I don't know. I always have this image of his video. Do you ever
Never saw it.
It's insane. I don't know why he made it.
Which
but-
video is that? The happy birthday one or something?
Oh, and happy anniversary. Oh, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, and he looked crazy, man. Like I'd be like, if you saw him,
What did he say?
You'd be a little worried, huh?
What did he say in it?
I don't know. He just laughed into the video. That's all I remember. I don't
Here we
remember
go.
his other videos.
These notes were on Monday, February 16th,
Wait, say it again.
2004.
February 16th.
Yes.
So like 2 weeks, a week and a half later, or whatever it was.
So the McDonald's arrived that weekend. So here's the other thing. So John Smith has Billy's phone records for 3 weeks. So before Maura disappeared, Billy had not spoken to McDonald for 3 weeks. The night she disappeared, Billy was on the phone with him for 34 minutes.
So that would make sense then, right?
But he didn't know she disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah, that was right around the time of the accident was going on. That night, while
That
she was
night.
supposedly on the road. While she
Billy-
was supposedly on the road, Billy's on the phone with Bob McDonald. And then
That's
they show
very
up, and then
interesting.
they arrive that weekend.
But they
So on the top of Christine McDonald's notes, it says this. Christine and her husband are friends of Maura and Billy and was up here trying to find more early on. These notes were prepared on the day of the interviews, February 16th, 2004. All quotes are verbatim and accurate.
So, did
Oh, and she's not a journalist. She is a history teacher.
Billy say that he was on the phone with McDonald or what?
What?
Did Billy say he was on the phone with McDonald or what? Or
I don't think
did
he said. I don't think he mentioned it.
John Smith asked him for his phone records, and then he just found
I
it
believe Sharon Rausch, Billy's mother, actually handed over the phone records
without Billy knowing.
voluntarily. I'm assuming it was with him knowing, but the problem was there was at least one page missing.
And then he
From the
just-
get-go, there was one page missing.
and then he was able to find out based off of a phone number who that phone number
Yes.
was, and it was
Yes.
Mr. McDonald's.
Yes.
Okay. That was the day that she went missing. He was on the phone with him for 35 minutes.
34 minutes,
34
or
minutes.
so, and he hadn't spoken to him for 3 straight weeks.
And then a week
so
later,
we can't say that they're just best buds that talk all the time. So it had nothing to do with Maura. And when Billy was talking about it, he specifically mentioned that the conversation was not about Maura. Would you feel
And
the
then-
need to do that?
And then that weekend,
Wait,
he went out to go
repeat that
interview
one more
people.
time.
Billy specifically mentioned, and McDonald, I believe they both mentioned that the conversation was not about Maura that they had for 34 minutes. Right as Maura was going missing.
Wouldn't
Wait,
she
so we-
come
wait,
up in
so-
the
And this was in the
conversation,
middle,
Wait.
possibly, and also, well, yeah, I'm guessing because he would ask, well, by the way, how's Maura?
though? Yeah.
Because he knew her, and they had been over the house for dinner. So I think it's safe to assume that they did talk about Maura at least a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
And,
And
so
where was-
Billy
so
was
where's
on the
Son-
phone. Billy was on the phone with a bunch of people that knew Maura.
Where
Which
was
is
Billy at
strange.
the time?
So what was the conversation?
Supposedly, but James Renner tried to verify with his two superiors or his roommate and a superior. They didn't get back to him. But yes, I'm sure the police checked it. They had to have checked it.
So what was the conversation about for 34 minutes?
How would we know?
Well,
All
oh,
they
I thought-
said it
yeah,
was
I
it wasn't
thought-
about Maura. That's all they said.
What was
You're
the?
gonna go look for her and do a little interview next week. All right. Some people up there.
That's interesting.
They're
Was group
planning out
calling
the whole thing.
available back then? Like to I don't know. Maybe
calling?
like
Yeah, I
maybe they
think
were
so.
maybe they were
Three-way.
planning like a.
Oh yeah, can you see if there's
Not
another
that they
person on the
would.
call? Can you see if there's another? Well, I guess they would have said
This
that.
was 2000. This was
You could do three-way calling back then.
Yeah.
And Mr.
Well, here's the other. You don't think it's
Wait, so-
weird, but Maxwell, you don't think it's weird for random people to come and question witnesses, but technically that's interfering with an investigation. Like John Smith. So when John Smith was on the case,
Wait, what if
So
they
do you
they
do-
also think that the cops are like corrupt or whatever and like
okay, but keep this
like
in mind.
like
Keep
if you
this
if
in
you went
mind.
missing I'd go insane
John Smith.
and
Remember
interview
John
everybody.
Smith? John Smith is the PI, the Murray family PI, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember, we mentioned this many times, when he first started investigating, 2 state police officers told him not to. So it's not okay for John Smith, an actual PI, to ask questions, But random strangers, it's fine. Unless they didn't know. But
They probably didn't know. I would think they were just, I don't think they knew. Like, I don't think, well, first off, well, during that week, didn't they almost conclude that she just ran away? Like, it wasn't even like,
I mean, they
it
started pushing a suicide theory. So.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird.
If they,
Also, Butch, in that interview, Butch said she got in a car and disappeared, end of story. That's what Butch Atwood said in the McDonald interview. We talked about this many times, Max.
She got in her car and disappeared.
She got in a car
In a
and
car.
disappeared, end of story.
Different car.
he actually mentioned that?
He said that, but from what I can see, it seems like he's theorizing. Like, he doesn't really want to talk about it anymore. Like, she got in a car and disappeared, end of story. Like, it seems,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what it
he
seems
was-
like. It doesn't
okay.
seem, because this is just the text transcript. We
Right,
don't know
yeah.
the intonation
Yeah.
or the facial expressions when he was delivering it. But that's how I read it. Anyway, so it's definitely
Anyway,
highly
so-
strange for a West Point professor's wife to go around interviewing neighbors, but you don't think so. So she's a history teacher. She's not a journalist.
So you're saying you wouldn't risk your health or life to interviewing if I go missing? Like, you wouldn't go around the neighborhood and
Let me ask you this: how often do people who know the missing go around and interview neighbors at last known locations? Now, here's the thing: I'm your friend, and I know you personally well.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, so do you think that McDonald's wife was some super close friend of Maura's?
I don't know that.
She might have only So she might have only seen her like twice at dinner ever, and all of a sudden so if one of my professor's wives doesn't go around interviewing the neighbors at your last known location, I wouldn't find that weird. Do you really expect a professor who I'm friends with, their wife, to start going around interviewing neighbors at your last known location? I wouldn't find it strange at all if Kate or Sarah went up and started talking to neighbors. That wouldn't be strange.
I don't know. I think if I met someone that I didn't know that well for like a couple of dinners and they went missing.
A couple dinners how long ago? I mean, it's not like they had dinner the previous weekend. This would have been at least a year.
Oh, they started the interview a year later? Is that what you said? I thought
We're talking about the dinners now. The interview was 1 week later.
When was the dinner?
Well, when she was at West Point.
Oh wait, I'm
So
getting things mixed up.
we're looking at actually 2
Oh,
years.
man.
Wait, that would be 2 years. Something like that.
I don't think it'd be weird. I don't know. I look for people missing.
Do you? How many people have you went and
Well, I don't know
interviewed
anyone
neighbors?
that's missing, so
Okay. So how would you ever know and how would you say?
I would just have put myself in that imagine myself in that situation.
If you were a professor, would your wife go interview people at the last known location of one of your students' girlfriends?
Yeah.
Well, if they both came to dinner,
All right, so here's the
couple
thing.
times.
So here's if Maura was asked to leave West Point because she possibly reported a sexual assault and they wanted to keep it hush hush and they made up the story about her stealing from Fort Knox. What?
why? I
Don't
think
you pay attention,
I think
Johnny?
I think he said that to get your attention. Is that
No, that's
Oh,
she stole like makeup from Fort Knox. I'll read the account.
Wait,
in a
what's
second.
Fort Knox? Isn't that like?
The most secure
So
location.
she broke in.
No, they were there on a trip, for, like a West Point trip, and she stole makeup from like the gift shop or something
Oh,
at Fort
I thought
Knox.
she stole some
No
like,
shit.
gold bars or something.
get
What?
the hell out of here.
Don't you pay attention, Maxwell? We talked
Well,
about
I
this
don't know about the
many
makeup.
times.
I know about the credit card and the pizza.
No, this whole. Why did she leave West Point, Maxwell?
Oh, okay. Is that the main thing from the
Well, why
West
did
Point
she
thing?
leave? Well, I'm asking, why did she leave West Point?
Is that the connection? That well, you're asking that question to make that connection in my brain.
Well, I'm just
like,
asking you.
Is it
I also
possible?
asked you 15 minutes ago.
Is it possible because she was in trouble for that makeup theft?
Well, I'm not gonna believe that there even was a makeup theft. The same way I'm not gonna just accept that the credit card fraud was on her. That's like some weird investigation at UMass. They show up and take her photograph in the hallway. So some people think they're recruiting her as a CI. because there might have been some weird, shady drug business with the dominoes. And
That was in a
whatever.
hallway? Why would they? I didn't know that.
You did know that. We spent many podcasts talking about it and how shady that whole situation
I don't
was.
think I knew it didn't register in my brain.
I actually didn't know any of this. Can you just talk about that real quick? Who took photos of her in the hallway?
Well, you do know this because we talked about this extensively on the Silent UMass episodes recently.
No, you didn't.
Really?
We did.
About the photograph in the hallway?
Yeah, I even named the officers.
Oh,
And her
jeez,
court date?
I'm really out.
On court, she had a court date and everything. Focus, Maxwell, focus. Supposedly, someone reported that their credit card was used to order pizza.
Okay. Wait, what are you talking about now? Are you are you talking about why they took pictures of her in the hallway?
Yes.
Okay, I just wasn't sure why you're bringing that up.
Well,
Okay.
you asked me to describe it.
No, it took 5 minutes to get to it though.
It's been like 30 seconds.
Maybe it's common practice to just take a picture anywhere of anyone who's done wrong.
Yeah,
Alden
no.
Olsen should have took that photo and asked if
Wait,
they
you're
seen
saying
this girl
you're saying
around.
no? That's
Well, the
not
photo.
common?
Some people don't even think that photo that looks like Maura that much.
Yeah,
Is there a picture of
she
it?
looked kind of
Yeah,
weird.
we went over it.
She looked
I
stressed
wasn't on
out.
that one.
She looked like she got MK Ultra somehow or something.
What do I look up?
Oh, that's the new theory, Maxwell. Maura
Hell
Murray's
yeah.
involved in MK Ultra.
What do I look up? Maura Murray hallway.
Dorm mugshot, black and white.
You call it a mugshot?
That? Yeah,
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
She looked-
Apparently, I
she looked
think
evil.
according to the report, I think she said she admitted it. So I'm still not willing to take that at face value. Do we know if she had a lawyer? Was the lawyer interviewed? Like she went in front of a judge? Like she's on probation for this? Is she covering for somebody else? We don't know any of this information. None of this is solid. None of this has been corroborated. This is all like secondhand info, which is unverified. I'd like to see it verified before accepting it as fact. So anyway, what I was saying with West Point, before we got sidetracked, with West Point, if she was going to blow the whistle, maybe they asked her to leave not to cause a big scandal. So let's say if she was sexually assaulted at West Point and she wanted to report someone for it, regardless of who it was. If it was, regardless of who it was, they don't want to make like a big stink of it, which is, I'm sure this has happened many times. So they just tell her to leave, and they tell her if she doesn't leave, they're going to say she made up the charges or reprimand her in some way. So she just finds it easier to just leave than create a big situation, especially if the person that's accused is like some big superior ranking officer or administrator. Make sense? I'm sure that's happened before. So the weird thing about both the UMass PD, Haverhill PD, and even possibly FBI involvement, if this is all connected with West Point somehow, would that explain like the so-called cooperation between police departments in this veil of silence or secrecy for whatever happened? We don't know what happened, so that doesn't mean that, Williams hit her or whatever, since we don't know what happened. What do you think? Got your tinfoil hat on?
Williams?
Well, some people think if she was silenced at UMass because of something at West Point, or we talked about this on the UMass podcast as well, if someone from UMass if someone from West Point transferred to UMass, and if that transfer knew a cadet or whatnot, we have the list of the cadets, but we don't know where only 2 of them were from UMass, but some of the other cadets, did they transfer from West Point as well? Or did they know somebody at West Point? Is there a West Point connection? Johnny?
There's got to be something.
So, well, here's the thing. So she left UMass. So 2 years before she disappeared, she was at UMass for about 2 years before she disappeared. 2 years prior, she left West Point. There's also a missing time section because she was so she was 21, but she was only a junior. So either all the credits didn't transfer or there's a period of a semester missing somewhere. We'll get into that in a little bit. But there's definitely, so some people also think there could have been some West Point hazing going on. West Point hazing gone wrong. Then she wanted to leave. And then, of course, so again, Bill Rausch was supposedly a mentor and he was an upperclassman to help her out, assigned to help her out.
Assigned to help his girlfriend?
Well, she wasn't his girlfriend at the time. That's how he met her.
Gotcha.
So there was some kind of other issue or other infractions, and Billy was supposed to help her.
So she needed tutoring help or whatnot with class.
Here's the other thing we never really talked about, jurisdiction. So military has their own military police that handle things within the military. If someone is high-ranking enough in the military, like how would you override local PDs if you were military police? We didn't really talk about that. How much pull could military police have, or some high-ranking official in the military? I'm sure this has also happened in other cases as well. If someone is that prominent in the military, could they stand down local departments?
Yeah,
Especially if they had
it's
an
hard to
FBI
see-
connection as well.
It's hard to see the. They seem disconnected to me from those two organizations,
Who?
the West Point and
Seems-
and the local police. I just don't.
Well, they're officially disconnected, yes.
Yeah, I just I don't know.
Okay, so grand conspiracy or not, let's do some background on West Point. So how do you get into West Point? So West Point is a prestigious school for military. It's a prestigious military school, probably the most famous one, right? I can't really even name
Yeah.
another one other than West Point.
Me too.
So how do you get into West Point? You actually can't go to West Point unless you have a recommendation from a politician.
Yeah, a congressman or something.
So senator, congressman, someone like that. They don't have to be a senator, but they have to be. Actually, from their website, it says who can
town
nominate
mayor.
the vice president, U.S. senators, U.S. representatives, delegates to the House of Representatives, the governor of Puerto Rico, the resident commissioner of Puerto Rico, or the secretary of the army. So during junior year of high school, you'd be looking for nominations.
So who got her in?
That's a very good question, isn't it?
That is a very good.
The governor of Puerto Rico.
So she went to Whitman Hanson High School. They share a school system. So from the member of House of Representatives, that might have been Michael Capuano, who held the position from 99 to 2011. Joseph Kennedy held the position from 87 to 98. Moore graduated in 2000. Her junior year would have been 1998. But here from James Renner's book, Senator Ted Kennedy nominated Maura for West Point. Said Janice, Maura's mother, prospective cadets must appeal to high-ranking government officials to be accepted as a nominee. It was at West Point when Maura met Mr. Nice Guy, as she calls Billy Rausch. This is what Janice said, quote, "He cheated on her for years, one of her sister Julie's girlfriends, as if that wouldn't get back to her," end quote. Janice believed Maura went to New Hampshire to get away from Fred. Quote, "They had an argument about the car accident." She said, meaning the late-night crash in Amherst that put Fred's Toyota in the shop. "He really reamed her over it, but he claims it wasn't why she left," end quote. Janice thinks that after Maura got up there, someone took her. She leaned forward and whispered, "My gut tells me the police had something to do with it." So this is Janice, Maura's mother, during her interview with James Renner.
That's very interesting.
So, are we really going into Kennedy connections here? We all got our tinfoil hats on?
Ted Kennedy got her into West Point.
Yeah, that was now here's the question. How did he know the family? Or how was he able to do that? Or
And then
did she just randomly reach out to him without knowing? Because how often would someone give a nomination without really knowing that much? I mean, are they just
Yeah.
going to glance at a student? Oh, the grades are good. Oh, yep. Let me write it back. Don't they have to know something about the person?
Is it possible to write a letter to whoever and say like, "Oh, here are my grades"? And
Yeah,
is
of
it-
course. But I'm just saying, without them actually knowing the person.
I know. I'm just
Like, I
thinking,
know
like,
if
do
they knew the family, they could be like, "Oh yeah, this guy, like he raised his kids right, like this kid, like." But if you don't know the family or the
Yeah, it
person,
is,
are you
yeah.
gonna just go off grades? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
But then, yeah, like maybe she made them look bad for like stealing or did something.
If she did that, yeah.
If she did that, yeah, and then
Yeah.
she got kicked out, and maybe that's what led to her.
Well, here's let's get our tinfoil hats on, because here's a very interesting Kennedy connection.
Uh-oh.
Do we know who Jeff Strelzin is?
Of course we
I
don't.
have no idea. Who is he?
The assistant attorney general in of New Hampshire. He was the one that was looking over the interviews on the Oxygen special that you didn't watch, Maxwell.
Oh, he was the one.
He
that
was
would
the
tell
one
you
that-
not to like say certain things or like shut up or.
No, he was the one that agreed to have Williams, Cecil Smith, and Monahan be interviewed for the Oxygen show under the condition that questions are either pre-screened and he's present in the room.
Okay.
He's also the one that was involved in Fred Murray's lawsuits against New Hampshire for more information on Maura's case, and he's the one that quoted 70% chance of conviction. Of course, they don't even have a suspect, or do they? I don't know. Were they talking about Rick Forcier? Were they talking about Bruce McKay, the rogue cop who was shot and killed? And when he died, that 70% chance of conviction went away? We don't know. But here's an interesting connection. Jeff Strelzin's grandfather, Harvey L. Strelzin, had dealings with the mafia. He was partners with Anthony Ritchie in a garbage hauling company. And in a congressional hearing in 1957, Harvey Strelzin spoke with Bobby Kennedy in this testimony. You could actually find it on archive.org. It's just kind of interesting. A lot of these people know each other, don't they?
But we still don't know how Ted Kennedy knows the Maura Murray family.
Correct. We don't know. Also, we don't know who nominated Julie. I don't know if he asked.
She went there also?
Yeah, they were there at the same time.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Julie was older, but
she stayed in.
yeah, Julie graduated from West Point, yes. And then she went on to work with some kind of company that's contracted with the Department of Defense or the NSA. Okay, so let's really examine, why did Maura leave West Point? So again, from James Renner's book, when something tragic happens, you don't really want to say anything bad about the person, but everybody has skeletons in their closet. That's how Megan Sawyer began the conversation. Megan was a friend of Maura's at West Point, a fellow runner, another young woman trying to power through the military's academy's tough regiment. She reached out to me when she heard I was working on Maura's case and offered to provide a few answers. Megan was standing beside Maura when Maura got busted for stealing makeup from the commissary at Fort Knox. Yes, she attempted to shoplift from the most secure military facility in the United States. The MPs got her. Back at the dorms, Maura confided to Megan about the theft. It was so stupid, she said. I only took $5 worth of stuff. Usually, Maura was quiet, Megan said. This was the most personal she had ever gotten, but you could tell there were some inner demons. She seemed sad. She was also insanely smart. So smart, said Megan, that Maura often helped older sister Julie with homework. The daily routine back at the academy was harsh. Everyone had chores and duties. Most days you woke up around 4:30 a.m., clean bathrooms, take out the trash. Every day, cadets had to read the newspaper front to back, and you would be quizzed on current events. Outside of class and conditioning for the track team, there was not much extra time. The dorms were co-ed. 2 or 3 women would share a room next to a room full of men. In such close quarters, Maura's bulimia was no secret. Megan heard her purging on more than one occasion. She had issues with loving herself. This lent credence to a story a private investigator told me about what happened at Thanksgiving the year before Maura disappeared. Her mother, Lori, had made fun of her in front of family members. She'd said, "Why did you make so much food if you're just going to throw it up later?" Maura got a lot of stress from her sister, Julie, too. Megan told me that Julie could be tough on her kid sister, that she would belittle Maura for not studying enough, not running harder. Megan said that Helena Dwyer Murray, the family spokesperson, told her to keep quiet about Maura's troubles. She told me, "Don't say these negative things. Watch what you tell people." The message was clear. It doesn't matter what happened to her in the past. The only thing that matters is that Maura is missing now. During her time at West Point, Maura went through basic military training, including survival skills. She could operate the machine gun on top of a tank. Based on what she knew of Maura, Megan believed her friend had what it took to start a new life. If she wanted to make up another identity, she could do it, says Megan. If she wanted to disappear, she could. She never wanted to look bad in front of people. I think she probably thought if I just disappeared, they wouldn't think badly of me. I believe she's alive. It's just a feeling I've always had.
So Billy had to tutor her?
Not tutor. He was a mentor, like a general mentor. Showed her around, keep her out of trouble. I don't know.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of information on that.
Gotcha. I thought that's what it was. And then her mom
But Julie,
would tell her to study all the time?
No,
Like,
Julie, her older sister. Even though she was helping her with her homework. I don't know.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so she had a bulimic problem?
Did she? I don't know about that. All this information is secondhand.
That's okay.
So here's my problem with this account, Megan Sawyer. So Renner says she contacted him. So he reaches out to all these people that knew Maura at West Point. Dozens of email, he said. Dozens of emails. Not one of them gets back to him. But someone who he doesn't email gets back to him and says this story about Maura, despite the fact that she was told not to talk about it or not to talk to Renner. Doesn't that seem kind of weird?
Yeah, that is.
It seems
weird.
like someone's
I
plant.
agree.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird.
It seems like someone's planting the story because where
Yeah,
can
someone
can
needs
anything be
attention and try to make
corroborated that she shoplifted? If this is coming only from Megan Sawyer,
When was that released?
his book
No, that thing you just read, or that was from a
that was
book.
from James Renner's book. Yeah,
But he got that from her. That said all
Yes.
that. And do you know when that was captured? That story or that info? What if that was Maura Murray?
Wait, the shoplift story, isn't that on record?
no,
Isn't- Why not?
this is the origin of the record, as far as I can tell.
So there's nothing at West Point that she was.
If it's true, I'm sure there is, but I mean, it's never been released, as far as I can tell. Have you heard any information about it?
No.
If it's true, it's probably on record. Yes, somewhere.
So someone should,
if
get
they
to that.
cared to, yes.
somebody out there, Mindshock fans, do it.
Did she mention when that was?
Also, Megan Sawyer dropped out of West Point her sophomore year. She did not finish West Point. She was also like a record-setting runner as a kid. Like she had these records in races. Like she was a really good runner.
Yeah.
So she was the only one that knew that she stole from Fort Knox?
If that story is true, I'm sure other people knew. I mean, her friends would know. Billy
But
would
her
know.
parents never mentioned it or anything. She was the only
I
one.
would think that they would know. But here's the thing. So she was asked to leave West Point, possibly because of that. But we don't know the official story. We don't know the real reasons for anything. This is coming from Megan Sawyer, which may or may not be true.
But she's the only person that has said that publicly.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. So that means, like, yeah, it's possible that she could have just made that story up,
Or was told to say it by somebody to start weaving a narrative.
and she's a real person. She went. That was
She
her
is a
friend.
real person, and she did go to West Point. Yes. She actually. So here's the thing. She said these things about Maura, which is also, if she's a real friend, is she going to talk about Maura being bulimic? Like, because that's
maybe-
almost irrelevant.
Maybe it could help. I don't know.
How?
Yeah.
She had
yeah, no,
issues with loving her. I mean, the phrasing of that's kind of weird. If you're somebody's good friend, are you going to phrase it that way? I don't know. I don't know if I would.
I mean,
I would probably say something like she had some issues. I don't think I would like. I don't know.
If it's true, I guess it could
what
help with
phrasing are
the
you talking
idea
about?
of what could possibly happen if she didn't love herself or something.
Well, here's the weird thing: is she's saying she's suicidal, and on the other hand, she ran away to start a new life. Like, what's the narrative here? Because if we're gonna go with the crafted suicidal angle, then the issues with loving yourself is okay. That's kind of if she believes she was suicidal, but she clearly stated Maura is alive, so it doesn't make any sense, right?
Huh.
And so if she was really that good friends with Maura, though, is she going to go against Helena's and the family's explicit wishes? Like, I don't know. Here's the other. So currently, or at the time, years ago, she might still work there. She works at Kansas State University's biosecurity research. You know who else is in the some top secret biochem field? Haas, the assistant track coach from UMass, who Maura had a relationship with the previous spring. He has something to do with the Department of Defense as well. A lot of coincidences in this case. What do we think about that? Just another coincidence for the pile, probably, right?
Need more tinfoil.
Yeah, we got to get some more tinfoil.
Saran wrap.
Okay, so apparently Billy and Bob, let's go back to McDonald again. So apparently Billy and Bob McDonald both told everybody the call was not about Maura. So do we find that strange?
Yeah, a little bit. What does that even matter if the call was or wasn't?
I know. So
We definitely didn't talk about Maura Murray.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Did you guys talk about Maura? No, we didn't talk.
Wait, we could go back. What's going on? Wait. I completely missed it. Wait, so you're saying that it's weird that they said it was nothing about Maura Murray, right?
They
Yes.
specifically said that the conversation they had for half an hour wasn't to do with Maura Murray.
And it was before she was known missing.
All right, so so let's go back to Billy and his whereabouts. So when he gets to Haverhill, he actually doesn't stay around the area. He's all over New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. So he's looking everywhere
himself?
except, well, let's see if Bob McDonald can clarify some things about that.
What you talking about?
Okay, so what are Bill's whereabouts following Maura Murray's disappearance? So Bob McDonald actually got back to James Renner when he was trying to find this out. This is McDonald's response, which, by the way, McDonald had to get Billy's permission to even give this response. Make what you will of that. I was with him for all that time. My wife and I arrived late Friday and checked into the Wells River Motel, which is where everyone was staying. If my memory is correct, not 100% certainty, given that 14 years have passed, my wife drove home on Monday. It was a 3-day weekend. But I was able to get colleagues to cover my classes and didn't head home until I think Wednesday. That last day, Bill and I drove to UMass and met with campus police.
How long? That weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
That Wednesday.
So
last
Billy
day.
and his old professor.
Went to UMass and told them what? You better keep a lid on this forever? I don't know. So afterwards, he drove me to Springfield, or maybe it was Worcester, where I rented a car and drove home. Bill basically didn't leave my side. While my wife was with me, he slept in his parents' room. After my wife left, he moved over to mine. There were times when he'd go to the motel office to do a phone interview with Greta Van Susteren, etc. But other than that, I don't remember us being apart. I wish I had a better memory of New Hampshire and Vermont geography and place names. The first day or two I was there, Saturday and maybe Sunday, we searched in the general vicinity of the creche site. Did they really? We visited the tourist town near Mount Washington and also went to a few other towns, both in a direction in which she was traveling, into New Hampshire, but also in the opposite direction, towards Vermont. Since, if she got picked up, we weren't sure which direction the car was traveling. We were posting flyers, talking to people in convenience stores and food markets, and trying to get her picture and police contact info out there. We went to UMass on my last night up there to meet with campus police and also to get me a car rental so I could drive myself home. I hated to leave. Bill stayed up there for a while longer. As the days passed, the focus shifted from searching near the site of Maura's crash and talking to people who lived nearby to trying to do everything possible, distributing flyers, speaking to the media to raise awareness that she was missing and getting her photo out there in the hope someone had seen her. I'm not 100% sure how to explain the 4-minute call. Maybe he was trying to access her voicemail. I think I remember her voicemail being something all of us discussed, but can't remember if we had access to it right away, later, or ever. Or maybe he was just leaving a long message in hopes that she would get it. I'm guessing that the period in which he didn't use his cell is explained by the fact that coverage up there was so lousy back then. He was using the hotel phone to speak with media and others in the evenings, and during the daytime we were either searching or driving around, passing out and posting flyers. So,
So originally you were saying that he was McDonald was just going and investigating with his wife. And
his wife was the one that interviewed the neighbors.
But now he's actually going around with Billy.
I don't know.
That's according to what McDonald said, right?
Yes.
And Billy said he was allowed to say that to Renner.
I think McDonald checked with Billy to see if he was allowed to give a response to Renner or something like that.
So that should be true then, right?
What?
What you just read.
Well, unless
That-
he's lying. Can we trust
Yeah, I
anybody,
guess.
Maxwell?
So you're saying, like, to make it seem like Billy was with him to actually go around looking for her?
I'm not
Or-
saying it's not true. I'm just saying we don't know what they know. Maybe they really were together and maybe they really were doing something. Because if they're either... So this can go one of... Well, there's 3 options here. It's exactly true like that. They have no clue what happened to Maura. Or they were the ones doing something to Maura and then covering it all up. Or they're trying to help Maura in some way and covering it all up so nobody will know in order to help her. Either get away from someone else or something she might have been involved with as a CI that she didn't feel comfortable going to the police with because they had someone in the police, or who knows what the situation was.
And the 34-minute conversation having on the night
She went missing, yeah, with McDonald. So he's telling McDonald something. Not to mention he's making dozens of other calls. He's calling a million different people.
And he was supposedly in Oklahoma when he made that call.
Yes. So yeah, then of course there was that call on Sunday where Billy called Maura's phone for 4 minutes. And then he went completely dead for 5 days straight. Now, McDonald here is saying, oh, well, phone reception is spotty, but it's not spotty because he's on his phone all the time when he's up there going through Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire. So obviously it can't be that spotty that he would just abandon using his phone for 5 days straight after being on the phone after calling Maura's phone. So voicemails possibly were limited to like 90 seconds at the time. We talked about this. This was on the James Renner episode. We discussed this extensively. But I'm thinking another possibility, if he's leaving a message but he doesn't like the message, so he deletes it and tries to leave it again. Is that possible at that time with that carrier?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? So that could be it.
You can't post it and then delete it. You have to, like, post it and then accept or decline it and then re-record over it.
So if you keep re-recording, it'll let you stay on the line longer. That could be 4 minutes, right?
I guess so.
So we can't really take anything at face value, though, because I'm not saying that the phone records were manipulated anyway, but glitches happen, especially in 2004. Like, even now, you might get errors. I'm sure people out there, you've gotten errors on some bill at some point. Could a phone call have gotten through and not showed up on Maura's bill that showed up on Bill's bill? I mean, is it outside the realm of possibility? Could he have talked to someone who picked up Maura's phone? We don't know. Not saying it was Maura. Maybe it was Maura. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was somebody else. We don't know. We went over these possibilities before. So here's the other thing. How many people does Bob McDonald know? Tim Westman has some strange connections to a bunch of different people. Is Bob McDonald one of them? Are there any other connections to West Point from people that live in the area? I wonder how much of this has been checked out or actively prevented from being checked out. So McDonald, supposedly being this professor at West Point and knowing a lot of people, rubbing elbows with a lot of high-ranking military officials and even Washington, D.C. people. So if McDonald is somehow connected to somebody in D.C. who's somehow connected to other people involved in the case, I mean, we got a lot of tinfoil now, but could they have orchestrated this scenario, staged an accident, and all of this could possibly be for Maura's benefit, because if she got involved in something way over her head and for whatever reason the police couldn't help, could all of this been orchestrated to help her with assistance from DC, political connections, or West Point? What do you think, Maxwell?
It's possible.
That's all you got?
It's possible. I don't know. That's all I got.
And then, of course, Billy did work for the Obama administration campaign at one point. And then he's also involved in other, veterans awareness groups and things like that. So he's in the mix up there. And now he's recently come out on Twitter saying he's willing to talk and assist. And yet he hasn't really given anything of substance other than the weird-looking page 9. So I don't know. What do you think?
Wait, he held on that piece of paper.
Supposedly he called and got it somehow after all these years. I don't know. He had it in his email. I don't know.
He should do a video of it because that piece of paper. Like, did he post a picture photo of it? Is that because if you put it on video, then it's not as.
He gave it to. I believe he emailed it to Erin Larkin, and she posted it on her blog.
Huh.
So whether it was an email attachment or whatnot, as an email attachment, I guess.
Huh. So they're all friends now. Who's he doing an interview with?
We don't know. Probably Erin.
Huh. That would be interesting.
It would be very interesting. Well, here's another thing, real quick. So obviously Cecil Smith. Do you know who Cecil is, Maxwell? Yet? Did you figure out who Cecil is?
One of the first police officers to arrive at the car accident scene.
In Haverhill?
Yeah.
He was an Army intelligence officer. Because I think he said he got lost on his way. Originally, he said he got lost on his way to the scene, even though his dad lives there. I think that's what his excuse was for why it took him so long to get to the accident scene. But he was an Army intelligence officer for something like 20 years or something like that. So does he have connections to West Point or the military or McDonald in some way? Because if he works for the police and McDonald is at West Point and McDonald shows up and they have a narrative to weave, did McDonald call Cecil after talking to Billy? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know.
Too much tinfoil?
Yeah.
All right, let's go over the missing time. So Maura was a 21-year-old junior who was an excellent student on the dean's list. Like, we're not talking about somebody who's flunking out or flunking semesters. So she's only a junior, so does that mean she took a semester off? I mean, I don't think this has ever been corroborated anywhere. So
wait. Why would that come up? What do you mean? Why she took a semester off? What do you mean?
She took a semester off of school. She's a 21-year-old junior.
Oh. Yeah, but I don't get it. So why should she take off a semester? I didn't.
When is she going to graduate? Because she's a junior, not a senior.
I don't get your point. I don't understand.
How old are you when you graduate high school, Maxwell?
I was 18.
Yeah, so if you were 18 and you were a junior, where's your missing year?
Oh, I see.
What professor did she write that there was a death in the family to?
One of her professors at UMass.
Oh, okay. It wasn't McDonald.
So Maura's birthday is May 4th. So she was going to turn 22 as a junior.
In college.
Yeah. So she's got a missing semester. Did she take a semester off? What'd she do?
So you're saying like she's older than she should be? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
She's a 21. She's about to be 22 and she's a junior.
She didn't start college late or anything?
I see what you mean.
Credits
Like
didn't transfer over.
So well, that's what I brought up before. If some credits from West Point didn't transfer over, or there was a break between coming from West Point to UMass.
Yeah.
But I'm not
I
sure
can
there
see
was
that
because
happening,
there
like
were interviews in James Renner's book that like it was known that she was transferring to UMass. Like people knew this West Point runner was coming to UMass. So how much of a break could it have been? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that happening where she would like, might as well take off because I'm too far into the semester or something, and then
I don't know if she's that good of a student. I mean, I don't know. But let's look at, so this is Alden Olson's blog, November 5th, 2016. Maura Murray's missing semester, parentheses S. Maura Murray, according to many reports, graduated from high school in 2000, after which she entered the United States Military Academy, West Point, as a first-year student, which would have put her on track to graduate from USMA in the spring of 2004. But at some point, she apparently transferred from USMA to the University of Massachusetts. However, she is consistently reported as having been a junior at the time of her disappearance in February 2004. Had she remained on track at West Point, February 2004 would have been her last semester there. Was she, when she vanished, a first semester junior or a second semester junior at UMass? Did she take a year off? Did she take a semester off? Or did she have to repeat some time at UMass following her transfer? One semester or two? At UMass or another school? Was she ever a part-time or night school student somewhere? Or did she take time off for some reason unrelated to her education? Or was it she in her final semester soon to graduate and various news reports kept getting it wrong?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How do they know she was a junior versus a senior? And
I guess the school transcript or the school representative saying, I don't know. Possibly related to, or actually wasn't it reported in the UMass newspaper? Possibly related to this time gap question is in a video in which her father appears. He stated things were really looking up for her. I wonder what he meant. Was there a time when things were looking bleak? If so, is this related to the rarely or never discussed missing semester and or her ultimate fate? The missing repeated time during her years of higher education may not be a hugely important issue, but it seems to be one of several events oddly missing from the discussion of her disappearance. Ditto the 12:07 to 12:14 phone call on Thursday night, for example, whatever. It might be helpful to know whether Maura's transfer from USMA was seamless or whether there was a break in time during which she was not a student at either USMA or UMass, or it might be totally irrelevant. The omission is hard to understand. After all, it's a pretty simple, straightforward question. Why have no citizen detectives asked about this? Again, I guess it's one of those situations we don't know what we don't know, so... can we say it's probably not relevant? We don't know, so we can't really say.
If there was
So that
I don't know. Do you think it's relevant? Like, what's?
Well, I don't know since we don't know. It's kind of like it's kind of like all these things. We don't know what we don't know.
So would that mean she missed one semester, or like how much time?
One
did she
to
miss?
two, we don't know because it's 20. I mean, we don't know, and we also don't know because maybe at West Point there might be some military credits that don't transfer because they have nothing to do with your general education credits. So it's
they're
possible
saying she should have graduated that spring, but
she would have if she was at West Point.
Okay, she should have graduated at that time.
At West Point. So if it was a seamless transfer, even at UMass, if it was a seamless... Yeah. But then she also switched to nursing, so maybe if there's extra classes, I don't know.
So exactly then it would put her on track to graduate 2005?
We don't know.
If she was a junior at that time.
Yes, so she would have graduated the following year. Okay. So I guess when she switched programs, certain credits didn't transfer possibly, or she needed extra credits to graduate from the specific nursing program. So, I mean, I don't think it's that much of a mystery. It's just strange that, it would take one sentence it would take, 1 minute to address by anybody.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's the other issue we have. So, she was looking for bartending jobs in Hanson, Massachusetts, her hometown.
She had a lot of jobs.
Well, here's the thing. If she was just planning a summer job while she was home that summer, that makes perfect sense. Or was she planning on leaving UMass? Or just taking another semester off for whatever reason to take a break. Like because she had a lot of jobs, the nursing program's pretty tough. If she just wanted a break, she could have been planning just to go home for the summer, have a bartending job. So this, we don't know. So what do we think? West Point's connections need more investigation or what?
Probably. Is that all the information you could dig up?
Pretty much. We don't know who knew who at West Point. There's just certain glaring...
This McDonald's guy.
There's certain glaring oddities regarding Billy, McDonald, even the incident. It's like nothing can be corroborated in this case. Like, why is it so difficult? Can we corroborate that it was why was she asked to leave? Like, was an official at West Point even asked? Like, it's just, all of it's so strange. So very
strange.
Yes, very, very strange. Final thoughts, Maxwell?
I don't know. I'm still thinking about the McDonald's thing. I don't know if I don't think it's weird. I don't know.
I'm thinking about McDonald's too, like a double quarter pounder or something. Big Mac.
So without knowing more information, I'm trying to connect the dots on how to really figure out why there's so much strangeness at UMass, in Haverhill, and at West Point. It seems like Billy and McDonald are like these common denominators because Billy and McDonald both went to, after this appearance, they went to talk to UMass PD. What was said, we don't know.
How many people asked about the 35-minute phone call?
What do you mean?
Like, because you guys say that...
I don't know. It came up once or twice. I don't know.
Because you guys say it's kind of weird that they say, oh, it's not about Maura, right? Like when they say...
I guess, I don't know who that was to. It might have been to Renner or someone else. What difference does it make how many times that was
I just
brought up?
I don't think it's that weird that... Well, okay. I don't think it's weird that they said that it wasn't about Maura. Yeah.
So do you,
but I just don't...
Some people think these are all Freudian slips. Like when Cecil Smith was being interviewed on the Oxygen show, he's like, Butch, Who I didn't know Butch. Nobody
Yeah.
asked him if you know. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
almost like a Freudian slip,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's trying to like keep it straight in his head,
Yeah.
so he slips.
Ah.
So it almost seems like that. Like they're worried that people think they were talking about Mora, so they're like, oh, we didn't talk about Mora. It doesn't mean they're the good guys, or that doesn't tell you whether they're good guys or bad guys. They could have been helping Mora, but if they want to conceal the fact that they were helping Mora, that would be a slip. And maybe they have good reason to conceal Mora, to conceal why they were helping Mora. So, we don't know. It's all unknown. All of these are unknowns. So, things to ponder. We hope you enjoyed another edition of the Mindshock podcast. If you like our podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click the bell for notifications. And you can also check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.
And Maxwell Powers.
And Johnny Mills. See you guys next time.